Now we want to go to breaking news. There are reports of multiple people shot at a college in Inglewood. Desmond Shaw is live in KCAL with more for us. Desmond, we were hearing earlier that there might be 3 people that have been transported.
That's what we have heard. Well, that there were 3 people that were shot. We're still getting some conflicting information here on the campus of Spartan College, just north of LAX, whether all 3 were transported or not. If they were not transported, there is a high likelihood that those people are deceased. So we're trying to confirm that information, whether 3 people have been transported or if it was only 1. But it does sound like 3 people were shot here off of Aviation Boulevard. So you see the massive response here from Inglewood PD. And as I zoom in, you can see they're out here with tactical gear. It looks like they have a bunch of their cars out here, and so they're still kind of in a defensive posture. It's not clear if the suspect is on the campus, if the suspect was shot. This is all still, there's still a lot of details to learn on this. You can see all these people out here on the street as well that may have been evacuated from the college. Just going to widen out and show you the area that we're talking about. And we're kind of far away because we are dealing with LAX. Look, it's right there. This is just north of the airport, not even a half a mile. And this is Aviation Boulevard. So this is something that's going to have a huge traffic impact on LAX as well. At the very least, this boulevard is going to be shut down for a long time. Again, not clear if this is still an active situation, the status of the shooter, if they are in custody or not, or how many people have been sent to the hospital. But you can see the massive, massive response here, and definitely a tactical posture being taken here. Amy, back to you.
Thanks, Des. And I know that you have only been over there a short amount of time. Can you tell from what you're seeing, does it look like they are actively searching for someone at this point? We see a group of officers right here. Have you been seeing movement and where it looks like they might be searching buildings or anything?
Right now, let's see here. It looks like we have some ambulances staging out here as well. And it's, unfortunately, we're not able to get an orbit in here and look at the other side of that building right now, being so close to LAX. But I'm kind of seeing more of a defensive posture. I haven't seen any of these officers moving into the campus yet at this point. So that they're out here, you can see, though, that they do have their tactical gear on. And they may be in there sweeping the building, but you can definitely tell that this is an active situation here just kind of by their posture and their stance, Amy.
All right, Des, thank you. And we want to bring in Mayor of Inglewood, James Butts. He's on the phone with us now. Mayor, thank you so much for joining us. What can you tell us about what you're hearing about this shooting?
About 4 p.m., 2 females were shot at the Spartan College of Aeronautics, 8911 Aviation. They are believed right now to be employees. They've been transported. The suspects alleged to have been wearing a security uniform. Officers are clearing the campus. The suspect is not believed to be in the area, and right now, that's all we have.
And Mayor, you say that suspect was in a security uniform, but is there some question about whether or not the suspect was in fact a security guard on campus?
I'm just giving you the latest information that we have, and we have no information that he's connected to the campus. It was just alleged by one witness that he was wearing what looked to be a security uniform.
Okay.
But we have no reason to believe that he's connected with the campus.
Okay, and right now they are still searching for that suspect?
Right now they're clearing the campus to make sure that he is not on the premises. It's not believed that he is still present.
Okay, and what you've heard is that there were 2 females that were shot and they were both employees.
That's the information I received, and that they both have been transported. So they were not interviewed at this point by police officers.
And you don't know if they in fact knew the suspect, the shooter?
We don't have any interview information from the victims at this time.
Okay. And for people that don't know much about Spartan College, give us a little idea of a little information about the college.
Well, it's a aviation specialized maintenance training training facility. They got a program that's designed to teach students the technical skills required to service, repair, and overhaul aircraft components and systems. They're general education courses.
And this is a pretty busy area that it appears to be in.
It's an industrial area. There are rental car locations over there. It's mostly industrial.
Well, it is good news that we've heard that there are only 2 people that have been shot earlier. We were hearing that there may have been more, so it is good news that we are hearing that it is just 2 and that they have been transferred. There have been no reports of any fatalities at this point. Mayor, is there anything else that you can add about what you've heard so far?
No, actually, you have all the preliminary information, and I need to note this is preliminary information, and as we get more information, we'll make it available.
All right. Mayor James Butts, Inglewood Mayor, we certainly appreciate your time and giving us the information that you have. And again, you mentioned it is preliminary information, but we certainly appreciate all that you have given us. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
And so if you are just joining us, we are following breaking news. There has been a shooting at the Spartan College in Inglewood. What the mayor has just shared with us is that this happened right around 4 o'clock. What he has learned preliminarily is that 2 females were shot. These 2 women were employees at the college. And what we have learned is that that suspect was wearing a security uniform. Now, at this point, there is no information that this suspect is in fact an employee or working security at the campus, but that this person was wearing a security uniform and that 2 females have been shot. They were transported to the hospital. We do not have any update yet on their condition. You can see KCAL above the scene right now. I know that Desmond Shaw has been up there. We can certainly see a very large police presence. So many cruisers and officers out there on the scene, and a lot of people are there as well. It looks like some of them are just kind of milling about, some maybe being questioned about what they saw and what they know. Des, have you been hearing anything else? All right.
They're out here with tactical gear. It looks like they have a bunch of their cars out here, and so they're still kind of in a defensive posture. It's not clear if the suspect is on the campus, if the suspect was shot. This is all still, there's still a lot of details to learn on this. You see all these people out here on the street as well that may have been evacuated from the college. Just going to widen out and show you the area that we're talking about. And we're kind of far away because we are dealing with LAX. Look, it's right there. This is just north of the airport, not even a half a mile. And this is Aviation Boulevard. So this is something that's going to have a huge traffic impact on LAX as well. At the very least, this boulevard is going to be shut down for a long time. Again, not clear if this is still an active situation, the status of the shooter, if they are in custody or not, or how many people have been sent to the hospital. But you can see the massive, massive response here, and definitely a tactical posture being taken.
And this is a aviation training facility, this Spartan College, so close to LAX. We have to wonder if maybe some of the people.
Amy, back to you.
Oh, there you are, Desmond. If some of the people that do in fact end up working at the airport are trained at this college. Mike Rogers is at the breaking news desk. Mike, you brought this to us when we were first getting word about it. Do you have any updates?
We're working on that right now, Amy. You know, LA County Fire, I know the mayor said 2 victims. LA County Fire had told us they had 3 victims. So we're working on, sorting out that discrepancy. Oftentimes things get lost in the chaos of initial moments of this. I do want to point out, though, the way that you're seeing these law enforcement officers, nobody has guns drawn. Nobody appears to be in kind of a posture as where they're trying to point towards anybody or looks like they're trying to make anybody come out. The posture is relaxed, which leads me to believe in general terms that wherever the threat is, it's not on this campus. Either the person is in custody now or they are confident that this person is not here. Remember, when we have campuses, and thankfully this is a smaller kind of, specialty type school campus. It's not as large as some of the other campuses that we deal with, but these law enforcement officers have to go room by room, building by building to make sure that each and every room in that building is secure and that there is no additional threat. So you see there on Aviation Boulevard, where Desmond is looking right now, the cross of Hillcrest, right on the edge of the LAX airspace there on the runway. You did see that looked like some employees, maybe some other students that were out there as well. Again, a smaller campus here, so it didn't take as long for law enforcement to be able to get in there and give that all clear. Again, though, we still don't know where the suspect is at this point. We don't know if they were able to encounter him. Oftentimes during discrepancies of gunshot victims, sometimes that extra extra gunshot victim that we hear about could be a suspect. We don't know that definitively at this point. All something we're still trying to work out. But Amy, I would say that based on the stances of law enforcement down there, wherever this suspect is, he is at least not a threat imminently to this area. You can see them more essentially kind of a debrief situation now. Inglewood PD is there. I do know I spoke with the LAPD Pacific Division Watch Commander. He says they're there providing traffic control, but that's about it. As you see some of these officers start to kind of work their way back. Now, as I mentioned, we are on the border here of LAX. I wouldn't be surprised if LAX police is down there as well. You see that black car down there? That's also from an outside agency. So you're going to have a lot of different law enforcement agencies kind of rushing to the scene, Amy, to make sure that they can do their best to help Inglewood PD with whatever they need. And at this point, based on the stances I mentioned of law enforcement, I would assume that there is no current threat right here in this moment as you see these, what we presume are teachers and maybe some students out there on the sidewalk.
Okay, and I was just looking, Mike, it looks like this Spartan College can accommodate approximately 500 students. We don't know how many students attend right now, but it can be, a decent-sized college. But as you were mentioning, there's so much police presence here on this campus, and we are not seeing them, as you said, taking a real stance like they are searching the buildings for anyone. Again, we were speaking with Inglewood Mayor James Butts. He was told that the shooter, that suspect, was wearing a security uniform, but it's not clear whether or not that shooter is in fact working on this campus or in fact working as security. He also heard that the two female victims that had been shot were employees of the school. But again, as you were mentioning, Mike, a lot of the information still coming in, still very brief, and the mayor did specify that it was preliminary. And so we want to make sure that we do reiterate that this is preliminary information. A lot of it is still coming in. It is still a very active scene, as you can see here. A lot of police officers there, a lot of what we are guessing are students at this aviation aeronautical school where they are learning different tactics of working on aircraft very close to LAX. Desmond, I know that you've been up there for a few minutes and you are getting a nice bird's eye of Spartan College there. Can you give us a little bit more information of what you're seeing?
Yeah, Amy, sorry, I was talking with my pilot here, but yeah, I mean, I'm just really kind of seeing like a more relaxed stance here from a lot of these officers. It just makes me think that, they haven't given a code 4 all clear yet, but hopefully that's just a formality. I kind of feel like they probably would not have all these people out here on the sidewalk if this was still an active threat situation. So just kind of a lot of milling about by officers, and we moved to get a little bit closer here, but back over here there was an open door where we saw a bunch of officers, maybe a dozen of them go in, some with weapons, some without. So at this point they may just be going in and gathering evidence and securing the crime scene and everything that goes along with kind of beginning the investigatory phase is just kind of what it looks like here from my vantage point. So, still a ton of officers out here, but a much more relaxed stance even in the short time since I got here to the scene, and maybe even seeing some of these vehicles rearranging or leaving the scene here. So I can't imagine that these students will be returning to class today, but just kind of waiting for some kind of official thing, at least that they're clear to leave the scene. I have to imagine that the officers are going to want to talk to some of them. Maybe there may be some witnesses down there to see if they can get any better information about what exactly happened here. But now, yeah, you're actually beginning to see some of these cruisers begin to leave the scene here.
Yeah, and Desmond, we're going to have to see if they're going somewhere else, because I did just speak with the watch commander. While you were talking, I spoke with the Inglewood PD watch commander, who confirms to me the suspect is still not in custody. There is still nobody under arrest in this situation, but as we've been talking about, the stance of their posture here at the scene, would definitely lead us to believe that they are more into, as you mentioned, an investigatory phase instead of an active search situation. So obviously they're going to be refocusing their efforts to try to go and figure out where this person might be, which could be the reason we are starting to see a lot of these patrol cars leave the scene. If they're confident he's not here, they're going to want those officers back out on the street to try to locate potentially where this suspect is or start following up on some leads. So I'm wondering if that's what we're starting to see here, is getting these people, these officers, back out into more of a patrol stance or at least a follow-up stance to see if they can locate this suspect and figure out where he is. Because at this point, as I mentioned, the Inglewood Police Department says that that suspect is still not in custody at this point. A very large scene here. There is conflicting information, and the watch commander is trying to sort this out as well on the number of gunshot victims. LA County Fire told me on the phone that there were 3 gunshot victims. The Inglewood mayor, Mayor Butts, said 2. The watch commander over at Inglewood PD is still trying to sort out that out as well. But again, the Los Angeles County Fire Department telling me on the phone probably about half an hour ago now that there were 3 gunshot victims here. The mayor saying that at least 2 of those gunshot victims are women who we believe worked at the university, or at the college rather. That suspect, as the mayor said, believed to have been wearing a security jacket. It's unclear if he actually was an employee of the school, if he was actually a security guard, or just simply had one of those jackets on. I think that everybody is kind of seen as you walk around town and different businesses and things like that. So as we wrap up the 4 o'clock hour here, we know that, again, law enforcement responded here to the Spartan College. It's an aviation college in Inglewood, right off of Aviation Boulevard, just after 3:30 this afternoon on a report of a shooting. When they got there, they found at least 2 people, potentially 3 people, suffering from gunshot wounds. The suspect is no longer believed to be here. We know that he is not in custody, but based on the stance by law enforcement officers, we are fairly confident at this point that he is not at the campus either, because you can see they've moved in that, as we mentioned, to that more investigative kind of phase and form at this point. Aviation Boulevard obviously going to be closed for an extended period of time. You would imagine the school is going to be closed for an extended period of time as well. We have yet to hear from anybody at the school. We have reached out to them several times. We're going to wrap up KCAL News at 4 o'clock here and welcome our viewers on CBS Los Angeles Channel 2 for continuing coverage of a shooting at a college in Inglewood, being joined by Susie Suh and Rudabeh Shabazi here for KCAL News at 5.
The breaking news in Inglewood, a shooting at Spartan College. The mayor there saying 2 female employees were shot.
Desmond Shaw over the scene in KCAL with the latest for us now. Desmond?
Yeah, Susie and Rudabeh, so we're over Aviation Boulevard and still trying to sort out a lot of details on this shooting situation here. We know that it's at least 2 people, possibly 3, were shot. It's unclear how many were transported or where the shooting happened. It sounds like it happened inside one of these buildings, but just noticed a much more relaxed stance here from the authorities, and actually even kind of a big reshuffling of a lot of the cruisers, and some of them leaving the scene, because we understand that that suspect is not in custody at this point. So we were seeing some of those cruisers leaving, thinking that they may be getting back out on patrol and following any leads that they may have. I just want to widen out and show you, we are essentially right next to LAX. We're less than, maybe not, a half a mile from, or the entrance to LAX, only about a quarter of a mile. So very, very near. This is an aviation technical college that trains people in the aeronautical repairs, mechanics, that sort of thing. So the fact that the suspect is out there and, so close to LAX as well, I feel like that kind of complicates the entire situation. Plus, it's a Friday afternoon. You got a lot of people headed to and from the airport along with rush hour traffic. So it could be very difficult to find this suspect. All of these, what we believe to be students and personnel of the college that are out here still on the street. They've been out here for some time, waiting to see if they're going to be dispersing. They may be waiting more information here from officers. Here you see one of the officers talking directly to someone. Maybe that's a witness. They're trying to garner more information on this. So still a lot of details to confirm, some conflicting information on how many people were shot, but told that the suspect is still out there, and that is going to be obviously priority number 1 from Inglewood PD, is trying to apprehend the shooter. Yes, Rudabeh and Susie.
And so far, we know that possibly up to 3 people have been shot. We're hearing 2, but possibly up to 3. I want to go to Mike Rogers at the desk. Mike, you were mentioning earlier that this person who is no longer on this property, apparently the shooter, was dressed as a security guard?
Yeah, that's what the mayor told us, Mayor Butts. And to your point about the 2 and the 3 numbers of victims, the Los Angeles County Fire Department is the one that is telling us 3 victims. They said that there are 3 victims, gunshot victims that they treated there. So that's coming from LA County Fire. It was the mayor who told us 2. The police department is not giving us a definitive number at all yet. So we're still trying to work through that. Fire says 3, the mayor says 2. To your point about the security guard, the mayor said that the shooter was wearing a security guard's jacket. So presumably that's one of the ones, a light windbreaker or something that says security on the back of it. We don't know if he was in any other further uniform. We don't know if he was wearing a duty belt like an armed security guard might. All of that is still trying to be sorted out right now with Inglewood Police, who you imagine has a very big task ahead of them.
And as far as we know, he was not a security guard there?
That's what we don't have any information to say that he was actually an employee of the college or actually a security guard really anywhere. We don't know if he was just wearing that outfit. We don't know if maybe he did work at a security guard at some different company and came here after work. All of that is still trying to be sorted out right now. But we're still trying to get some of that information, especially the victim count, from the fire department and the police department to get them to kind of get on the same page with victims.
Yeah, of course, these situations so fluid. Working to get those numbers to see exactly how many victims there are. We could see look like employees standing outside talking to law enforcement. In terms of jurisdiction, with this being so close to LAX, this is LAPD. We see them there on the ground there and barricaded that street in the surrounding area. But who else might be involved in all of this?
So we've got Culver City PD I've seen there. We've got Inglewood PD. There's that black and blue car, which I don't recognize immediately, but I think that's going to be one of the South Bay agencies because we're kind of in that sweet spot where you've got the South Bay cities, Manhattan, Hermosa, Redondo, that can all come up and help. It wasn't Hawthorne PD, but there are a bunch of different agencies here. LAPD, Pacific Division, I spoke with the lieutenant over there. He says they're just providing traffic control at this situation. You imagine when you get a call of a shooting at a school, you're going to get the whole world, right? Everyone's going to come and try to figure out what kind of hand they can help. And one of the things we talked about, last hour when we first started doing this is schools, and thankfully this is a smaller campus, but schools are notoriously difficult to search because of the size, because of the number of different rooms. They've got to go room by room and search all of these things. This school in particular presents a different challenge for law enforcement because this is an aeronautical college, an aviation college. There are hangars that they have to look through, potentially planes that you want to make sure somebody's not hiding in. I don't know if Des, if you can see to the back part of the property, and I know Desmond's dealing with LAX airspace because again, this is right on the edge of LAX, but I did see on some Google satellite imagery that there are planes that are stored kind of in the back of that campus. So, they're going to have to go through all of those too. So schools always present a bit of a unique challenge for law enforcement. And this is definitely a dynamic type of school because you've got probably both classroom settings and aircraft settings, hangars, maintenance areas, different things like that are all going to be places that law enforcement have to search. So that's why they get all of that help. Also to stop an active threat if it's still there, but then they know that they're going to have to clear that building to make sure that the suspect is not on the campus. And Inglewood PD repeating to me a couple of minutes ago on the phone that the suspect is not in custody, but based on kind of the positioning and the stances of law enforcement on scene, we wouldn't believe that this person is still a threat in this location.
So they've already set up the perimeter and did their search then.
Correct.
They're done with that.
Yep. Yeah, and we saw a minute ago, probably about 10-ish minutes ago now, we saw a lot of cops actually leaving the scene, which to me would indicate that they're probably want to go get back out into the city in case this person is somewhere elsewhere and you don't want to have your entire law enforcement, facility here at this one spot when this guy is still potentially on the loose.
And I think the indication of those people as well, we just saw them they were standing by the wall outside that building, and then you just saw law enforcement kind of leading them over. We saw one person speaking with officers. It looked like he might have been a witness telling them what he was pointing in some direction. So they don't seem to have a sense of urgency at this scene right at this moment from what we can see at KCAL. So that kind of reinforces what you were saying about maybe the suspect having fled already.
Yeah, but you can only imagine as we try to get back our shot here, just what it was like inside that place today, in the middle of class, in the middle of learning, instructing, who knows, learning, and then all of a sudden, someone comes out of nowhere with the gun and starts shooting. We don't know who this person is. All we know is that they were wearing a security guard jacket. We do not believe they were an actual security guard at this school, at this tech school, Spartan College, but we do believe that they came in there and they opened shots, and They shot at 2 people, maybe as many as 3. We do believe that up to 3 people may be wounded from gunshots. We're trying to still clarify that number, but we do know that this happened just after 3:30 today, and as far as we know, the shooter, the gunman, is no longer here on the scene. As we've been talking about the stance of police officers along with the employees there, it doesn't look like they're in a stance where they're scared or they're hiding or they're looking for anyone in particular, but it looks like they're sort of, maybe talking with some of the employees still and trying to get some information as to what happened. But if you are joining us here live on KCAL News at 5, this is breaking news. The Inglewood mayor telling us that 2 female employees at Spartan College have been shot. We do believe that that number may be up to 3. Let's go to Mike Rogers at the desk for an update now. Mike.
Yeah, so I'm going to be very careful about the information I'm going to share here because I don't want to jeopardize any kind of law enforcement investigation. But what I can tell you right now is outside law enforcement agencies have been notified of a suspect description down to the name of this person as well as the vehicle they were driving. I'm not going to share those details because we don't know what this person knows, and I certainly don't want to jeopardize any kind of police investigation. But we did hear from outside agencies, we were listening to this on the radio, that police do have a name and a car that they are looking for in connection with this. Now, to be fair, we don't know if the name just came from the license plate of the car because they do have that. So it's very possible the car was seen on camera, they ran it, that's the registered owner. That's one possibility. The other possibility is they know specifically who the person is, and that's who they're looking for.
Or somebody at the location knows that person.
Exactly. And so we don't know which of the scenarios that is, but we do know it sounds like they've got a pretty good lead on exactly who they're looking for. They've shared that information with allied agencies. Allied agencies have put that out to their officers as well. So that makes sense why we're starting to see all these people leave. They're going to go be on the lookout for this car that they are looking for in connection with this, that they are now sharing with their partner agencies around the area.
Yeah, not a huge sense of urgency here from the officers we're seeing at this particular scene. Of course, we're not seeing what's going on in the rest of the city or surrounding communities. But when you do think about the geographic location of this technical school, you have LAX right nearby, you have freeways, you have rush hour traffic just beginning on a Friday in Los Angeles. You have parking lots, trailers, hangars, a lot to go through there. So I guess it's maybe good news that at least the people here right now, the people we're seeing are safe as the police tape this area off.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're talking about the sense of urgency, Rudabeh, and I think definitely just to speak to what Mike was talking about, the fact that they possibly know who this person is, have now identified them, definitely going to send them, maybe some information that they know possibly where they are, where they could be hiding out. They have some more information about that. So at this location, like you were saying, not so much urgency.
Yeah, and one of the other challenges, and Rudabeh, you mentioned it being at LAX, is it's not, our helicopter is not allowed to go to LAX for those reasons, but we are so close to LAX that you couldn't even get a law enforcement helicopter above this because of that area. So these aircraft that are coming over right where this area is, I mean, the aircraft, there's a jet that's about to land at Van Nuys coming over this area. They're already down. The jet is about 600, 700 feet, right? So law enforcement likes to fly at about 400 to 500 feet. That's not nearly enough room for law enforcement to get a helicopter in there. So it looks like what they're doing is they've got one that's up really high above the LAX traffic to be able to kind of, be on the lookout for this vehicle that they're potentially looking for in this case.
And so much going on behind the scenes in terms of this investigation. You've been listening to snippets of it, and you're being really careful about what you put on the air. But you have been reporting that the law enforcement and investigators have a name of the suspect and the vehicle that suspect was driving. And what we do know is that that person was wearing a security jacket. We don't know if that was actually a security guard, someone posing as a security guard. But obviously they're tracking the car, they're looking at the plates of the car, they're communicating with other law enforcement agencies throughout the metro area as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, hopefully what will happen is the car will get picked up on one of the, all of these cities have gotten a lot more advanced with ALPRs, automatic license plate readers. So you would hope that at some point this car will get snapped up by one of those, and that'll give law enforcement, kind of a head start or at least get them into the area where they were last seen. A lot of police cars have the license plate readers on their cars as well. So hopefully they'll be able to get something. They've got a decent sized jump, having the fact that they already potentially know who this person is and what they're driving. Oftentimes, that is so much of the effort is to just identify a suspect. And it seems in this case, they have already gotten that information. And now, obviously, the struggle is just to find them.
Yeah, it looks like they're just starting their investigation now, putting crime tape up and taking photos. There must have been, some part of the scene outside as well as they're taking photos outside on the ground there. Perhaps some shell casings, who knows? That's what they often find. But as far as we know, this is a shooting that happened just after the 3:30 hour. And there were students inside learning and conducting class inside the Spartan College in Inglewood when someone, a gunman wearing a security guard jacket, walked in and started shooting. Now, as far as we know, this person is no longer on the site. But police do have some information about their name and the car, the type of car that they're driving. They do have a license plate as well, so hopefully they'll be able to catch up with him. But as far as this location goes, looks like the investigation is just starting, and employees are probably going to have to answer a lot of questions with police.
Absolutely, and one of those questions is the motive. Did this person know someone at the college, know someone who worked there, was it a domestic situation? Was it random? Was this person indeed a security guard? There are so many questions about
a disgruntled
why.
Employee, a disgruntled student. We've often seen that too. Who knows? But for whatever reason, they came in, and as far as we know, 2 female employees have been shot, and possibly a third as well has been injured. So we don't know their conditions at this hour, but we do know that they were taken to the hospital, and this is a scene that's left after that 3:30 shooting.
And is,
yes,
oh, go ahead.
Sorry, really quick. I was just going to say, Inglewood PD confirming to one of my colleagues that the campus they did give the code 4 on the campus. The campus has officially been cleared. They are confident now that the suspect is no longer on the campus, which then now obviously leads to the big search for this person.
Right, and it is a search. Is it a search that they have knowledge about, where they're going, or are they just waiting for the tips to come in?
Waiting for the tips and working the, good old-fashioned police work, doing some of the investigatory leads to try to figure out, obviously they're going to go to this person's house. If they've got the registered owner, his car, they'll go there. They'll, if he's there, that'll turn into a whole thing. If he's not there, certainly I would presume right now they're trying to author a warrant for that home so that when they get to the home, they can go in and either search it and find him if he's there or not, find some evidence that may lead him to believe where he is or something that will give them another clue. That's usually how this works. There's a shooting, they identify a suspect, a location, get a judge to sign a warrant, and then go execute that warrant whether he's home or not.
Yeah, and you can see them still standing outside here. You can only imagine what they've been through, but clearly there was activity inside when this happened because all of these people then were let outside. They're still there with investigators, I'm sure providing information and definitely a lot of witnesses for this shooting, and I'm sure there were cameras everywhere as well.
And, I wonder if any neighboring businesses or any of the other buildings, if people in there heard anything. I imagine gunshots. I don't know how many were fired, but at least, as far as we know, at least 2 were fired because we know 2 people up to 3 are injured. So, unclear exactly what transpired here at this tech college today. But as we said, up to 3 people in the hospital this afternoon with gunshot wounds or conditions unknown, and the gunman still on the loose tonight. But police, we do believe they know his identity and the kind of car that he is driving.
This will impact a lot of people driving through this area. This is very close to LAX in Inglewood on a Friday during rush hour. So a scene here still pretty active. They've taped it off, cordoned it off as they continue their investigation. But we do know that this particular scene has been cleared. There is a lot of investigation work going on behind the scenes. Multiple agencies involved as they try to track down that suspect whose name and vehicle description they do have.
Let's go back upstairs to Desmond Shaw live in KCAL with a closer look at what's happening with the employees there. I know a lot of police cars have left, but the employees still around there.
Yeah, still quite a few people, and we did see some of these people leave as well. This crowd has maybe a dozen or so people have left this scene, but it looks like officers are just talking to some of them one by one. Here you can see here talking to this lady in the red top right there and taking down some notes, so maybe she's privy to some information. I'm just going to widen out and show you the area here. We're just talking about a couple of buildings here, so this is definitely not a sprawling college campus or anything like that. And, you know, the good thing anyway is that the authorities were able to clear the building fairly quickly. When we've seen situations like this on, you know, university campuses, it can be an hours-long ordeal trying to go and clear all these buildings. But we have this main building right here, and then the building where they probably actually work on aircraft stuff back in here. And it appears that this is may have been where the shooting took place. You see all the tape that they set up down in that area. We're looking at this building right here. When we came around to the rear, there was a door that was open. Can't see it from this angle, but back in this area, there was an open door, and we saw like a dozen officers going in and out of that door, so that's what, they're just kind of focusing on that area. I haven't seen hardly any attention being paid to the three-story building right here. So it's probably a decent guess anyway that this is, you know, where the shooting happened, inside of that building. We haven't seen any medical waste or anything outside of the college to kind of clue us in that the shooting happened on the outside. It seems that it should happen in the inside here. Yeah, officers trying to get as much information as they can and try to bring this person to justice. Rudabeh and Susie.
Okay, Desmond, thank you. The look from above. This happened just after 3:30, a shooting at a technical college in Inglewood, very close to LAX. The police do know who the suspect is and are looking for him, but so far this scene has been cleared. At least 2 people shot there, and we will continue to watch this, of course, as this investigation unfolds. KCAL will now return to regular programming, and we will continue the news on CBS Los Angeles.